I had already planned to make a video talking about my anxiety and my depression. It is something that I've battled for a really long time. It runs in my family, and it's just something that is a lot of weight on my shoulders. And I know that it's something that a lot of other people go through. So I wanted to make a video about it to kind of like show people that they're not alone, obviously, and just to give something for people out there like me to relate to, and just explain some things in a way, I guess. And I just recently received a comment on one of my videos that just makes me a bit disappointed in a way. It upsets me. There are people out there that think that it is okay to put down someone else's decisions and put down someone else for what they do for a living, what they are doing with their lives, especially when that doesn't affect them. And that's something that has always bothered me, when there are people out there that will tear you apart just for living your life when it has nothing to do with them. I'm like appalled in a way. This is something that's very hard to talk about, and it's something that's very hard to go through, and it's something that people don't take seriously. There is such a stigma around mental health, and it is truly sad that there are so many people in the world that can't get the help they need, and that everyone refuses to understand, they refuse to listen, they refuse to help, and they just don't take it seriously as they should this day. Like, it has been around, there have been so many studies, so much going on, and people still just act like it's not a real thing. As a kid, I was that shy little girl. I didn't like talking to strangers. I didn't like hugging people. I hated going to school. I would cry and cry and cry when it came time to go to school, to the point that I would be late, and because I was late, I would just cry even more, because I would just think, well, now I'm late, I'm gonna walk in and everyone's gonna stare at me, and I would have to go sit in the counselor's office and until I calmed down enough to go back to class. And this was me in like 1st through 3rd grade. And it happened beyond that, but just not to the extent that it did. And I was always labeled as ungrateful. I was a brat because I didn't appreciate things, which that was so far from the truth. I appreciated everything, and I've had trouble being told no, not because I'm spoiled, but just because I was sensitive. I had trouble saying thank you because of fear of rejection. I've never been able to say I love you like a normal person. I've never been able to tell my parents I love them. I've never been able to tell my family I love them. I still struggle to this day when it comes to Christopher. Like, it's something I have had to work so hard on, to be able to do something as simple as say I love you to someone, or as simple as to say thank you to someone after they've done something to me. It takes so much courage for me to do that. And as a child, nobody paid attention to what that was, and I didn't even fully understand it. And it was just me being a child. It was just me being bad. It was just me being sensitive. It was just me being stubborn. It was just me being shy. But that's not what it was. It wasn't just a shy little girl. It wasn't just it wasn't just a little kid being a little kid. That was me being a child who has a family with a history of depression and anxiety, and that was my depression and my anxiety showing. That was how it was shown when I was a child. And that I just went through my childhood living like that. I had to force myself to say thank you, being terrified of what people were gonna say back. I had to live my life never being able to say I love you back to anyone. And I couldn't hug people, I couldn't kiss people, I couldn't hold hands with people. I was so guarded as a child. And in middle school, I was a little bit better. I had kind of broken out of the shell where I could be goofy, I could play around, I could joke with people, and I just could be a person. And then I got to high school and things just got worse again, and they've just been worse ever since. Like, there was so much that it would just come so easy to other people, but when it came to me, it was always so hard. And I've always been lazy, but that wasn't me being lazy. It was just me being so exhausted from constantly battling this anxiety and this depression that I've been dealing with my entire life. And I never got the help that I needed. This isn't something that I would like to put out there. It's not something I like to talk about. It's something that a lot of you might not even understand. But as a child, I was touched in a bad way. It was by someone that I was very close to, and I didn't understand it because I was only 8 or 9 years old. And once it finally came out, like, I was put into therapy, but therapy didn't help because honestly, it was just this man that I didn't know who constantly, I was there every week, and every week it was him constantly saying, do you want to talk about your story? Would you like to write your story down? Do you want to tell me what happened? And I didn't want to continue reliving it. I wanted to just put it in the back of my mind, and I wanted to forget it. And after that continuously happening, I finally stopped going. I quit therapy, and I just tried to continue living my life after. And as I grew older, and I started to understand more what had happened and the whole ordeal, it started to become harder for me to cope in a way. I started to be aware that nobody believed me that it even happened. And as a child who goes through something like that, knowing that people don't believe you is so hard, because that's not something that a little girl would make up, especially about someone that was her world at the time. And continuing to grow up, and as an adult now, knowing that people still to this day don't really believe me is something that I will always carry with me. And I never had a dad in my life, really. My dad left when I was very young. I was a baby. I knew him, but I knew him as an uncle. It was very complicated. My mom got married to someone else, and he raised me up until they split. And then I never saw him again after things went down. And then my mom dated other men. There were alcoholics and abusive, and just, it was so much that I went through as a young child, things that a child shouldn't have ever been through. And it made me have to grow up very fast. And I say it in a way, but I've always been set up for failure is what I say. I had a crappy childhood. I had a crappy home life. I didn't have parents who could provide necessarily exactly what I needed. I didn't, in a sense, like I didn't have a college savings. I didn't have support. I had a mom who wasn't really there when she was there. So I had no one to talk to. Nobody understood. Nobody believed me. So I had to bottle everything up for years and years. And then I hit high school age where you start getting boyfriends and you start thinking about your future. And I had all these dreams. I wanted to be an orthodontist. I wanted to go to college. I used to want to move to England. And I just never could do any of that. It got down to, I was in my junior year. I was already with Christopher at this point. And I was realizing that I can't really do anything. I can't afford to go to college. I can't work because I don't have a car. I don't have anyone to take me to work. I didn't have a license. I had nobody that was helping me because I had I lived with my grandma at the time because I just couldn't be around my mom. We just didn't get along. So I lived with my grandma and my uncle. I was on their phone bill and they were always telling me, you should help out, you should pay for your phone, you should pay for your school stuff, you should make your own money, you should work. And I tried to work, but nobody could take me to and from work because they all worked or they just couldn't do it. So it was kind of like, well, I need a car so I can get myself to and from school and to and from work. And they're like, well, you can't have a car until you make money and make payments on this car. And it was like this never-ending loop of, I can't do this until I do this, but I can't do that until I do this. And it just went on and on and on. And I wasn't very liked in school. People were usually pretty mean to me and they just didn't understand. I had bad labels that I didn't deserve and I was really isolated. In 3 years of high school, I never once ate in the cafeteria. I usually would be alone in a teacher's classroom, not talking to anyone, just doing my work. I never really ate back then. I was harassed a lot. I used to have to ride the bus as a kid because I didn't have the privilege of being taken to and from school because my family worked. And once I got to middle school, there were boys that would harass me. They would stick their hands down my shirt and they would try to stick their hands in my pants and they would just terrorize me. And I finally had enough and I refused to ride the bus, but even still, everyone would throw that in my face. They would say, well, you could always just ride the bus. You can just ride the bus, you don't need to be picked up from school. And that was really hard because that was once again them not understanding that I didn't want to ride a bus where all these boys were doing these bad things to me. Obviously, who would want to do that? And I've always had trouble telling people no when I should. I've never been able to put my foot down. I've never been able to stand up for myself. And that just made it all 10 times harder because of all the rejection that I had as a child. I was pushed away by so many people. And I had to grow up so fast. And I was in my junior year of high school. I was given the opportunity to graduate early, which I did. I graduated a year early. I had honors medals. I had a 3.9 GPA. I did everything I was supposed to do. But college just wasn't a path that I could take. I didn't have family to help me pay for college. I didn't have a job to help me pay for college. I didn't have scholarships. I should have, but I just didn't. And I knew that everything that high school did to me, I couldn't continue doing. couldn't work well in that kind of environment anymore, and I decided that I just couldn't do college. And eventually I moved to Ohio with Christopher, and he's been my crutch for our entire relationship. I've always been alone, and I always have isolated myself. I've never been able to talk about my feelings. I've bottled everything up so much until I can't anymore. And for the past years that we've been together, I haven't been able to do anything. I couldn't go grocery shopping by myself. I couldn't get gas by myself. I couldn't go pay rent by myself. I couldn't make phone calls by myself. Like, my anxiety was just this dark cloud that was always hanging over me, and I could never fight it. And I didn't want to do anything but lay in bed 24/7. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to do anything. And London came along, and that was my push to be better. That I had to eat, I had to get up, I had to clean, I had to do everything. And then since Christopher has started working out of town, it's really been a huge wake-up call, and I've really had to push myself even further than I've ever had to, which I'm so thankful for. I've finally been able, I can go to Walmart and do my grocery shopping by myself with London without even thinking about it. Like, that used to be something that I would cry to Christopher and be like, no, I can't go by myself. I need you to help me. I can't do this and this and this. And I used to say a lot of I can'ts. But I've learned that I can do a lot of things that I've said that I can't do. There are still things that I honestly cannot do. That when I say I can't, I mean I can't. But I've learned to do things that I used to say I couldn't do. I've learned I can go shopping by myself. I can drive by myself, be fine. I've been able to stay home by myself. Yes, I still get anxious and scared and paranoid, but that's kind of to be expected. Like, that's not really something that I can just feel. I've improved a lot about myself, and I've worked on a lot about myself. And I've become a much better person. I still have a long way to go, but I'm trying, and that's what matters. I'm trying to learn to live with my anxiety and my depression. I'm trying to learn ways to be better and do better for me, for London, for Christopher, for everyone. And London is always taken care of. She always has what she needs. She's always happy. She's always fed. She's always healthy. Her diapers are always changed. Her clothes are always clean. Like, she has everything she could need. And I do everything in my power to keep her happy and to keep her healthy. And she is the best thing that has ever happened to me. And I could never imagine losing her. Obviously, what mother wants to ever lose their children? And that's another thing. I'm gonna read the comment real quick, but I'm not gonna put any names out there. The comment that I received. This person said, 90% of your audience is under the age of 14. Yes, I agree. I know that. It's not really something I can control. That's just how it is. That being said, I've seen your story of why you wanted a baby so young. I am the same age as you and also don't touch drugs or alcohol, and I am also very mature. I don't understand why you don't just get a therapist or get a job of your own. I've thought about getting a therapist, but it's just, I have a lot of trouble talking about how I feel. I've never been able to put feelings into words. It's a habit that I had as a child, and it's followed me. I can feel a way in my heart and I can feel a way in my head, but just taking how I feel from inside and putting it into words to explain to someone is nearly impossible for me. It doesn't matter how much it bothers me, I just don't know how to put it into words. I've never been able to. And the times that I have talked to people, I get degraded, I get told that it's all in my head, I hear that, you know, I shouldn't have these problems, I shouldn't let it get to me, and that's just not what someone with anxiety and depression wants to hear. I can't just relax, I can't just calm down, I can't just get over it. And that's what I've always been told, and I have a fear of going to a therapist and telling them how I feel and them telling me it's all in my head or shoving some medications down my throat. I don't take medicine. I don't even allow myself to take over-the-counter ibuprofen or Tylenol. I don't even take cold medicine. I don't take anything. And growing up, watching my mom, she was always prescribed all these different medicines for all of her anxiety and depression, and she still is to this day. And watching how she was, some of these medicines would make her 10 times worse than she was without it. It just was never pretty. And it has pushed me to have such a bad connection with all medicine, really. I've seen what that kind of stuff can do to people, and I've seen what it can do to families, and it has affected my entire life. And that's something I never want to mess with. So going to a therapist that just tries to shove medications down your throat, and that's their way of solving problems, well, that's not how I solve problems. And I don't believe in that. And then you're an adult and your husband is completely supporting you guys. He's probably okay with it, and it's not my place to judge. You're right, it isn't your place to judge. It's not your place to put in your opinion. It's not your place to act like you have any sort of hold over what I do. It does not affect you. But I still feel like something needed to be said and explained. It didn't. I'm not sure if you finished high school or not, but you should have. That right there, it was a very stupid statement. I'm not sure if you finished high school or not, but you should have. You literally just told yourself right there. You don't know my life. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know what I've done, but you should have. I did finish high school, so how can you say, I don't know if you finished high school or not, but you did finish high school, which I didn't know that, but you should have, even though you did. That just doesn't make sense. You'll eventually get a bit bored doing the same thing every day, even if you do love it. London is my child, and I could never, ever get tired of making sure my child is happy and taken care of and healthy and has what she needs. How many times do you hear a normal adult with a normal job say, I'm so tired of working the same 9-to-5 job, I'm so tired of doing the same thing, I'm so tired of this, I'm so tired of that. Like, me being a stay-at-home mom, that isn't any different than me being a working mom. And technically, YouTube is my work. I put a lot into my YouTube channel. I work just as hard with this as any normal job would require. I don't get as much out of YouTube as I would a normal job, but that just goes to show I'm doing something that I like. I'm taking my life and I am putting it out there to help others. I am releasing my own creativity, my own thoughts into these videos, and I'm using my own mind to do this. I'm putting my own, well, not my own, but I'm putting money into this even when I don't get money out. And that, I think that goes to show that I take this really seriously. I know a lot of people still don't take YouTube as a career seriously, and I wish they would. I mean, I know I'm not really up there yet, but that's why I continue to work. I work so hard to do this so that I can one day help provide for my family from doing something that I love while still being at home. And it's just unfair to think that I don't do anything when I put so much of my heart and so much of my time and energy into this channel, even when I don't get anything out. So that just It's really belittling. Everyone needs some variety. How is someone working 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, every week, with no variety, any different from me being a stay-at-home mom who takes care of her child, cleans the house, and works on what she is trying to do? I put a lot of work into YouTube, like I've said. I put work into cleaning my house. I put work into keeping my child taken care of. Just because I don't get paid for it doesn't make it any less of what it is. So I'm just saying that if you want to be an adult, do some adult things. This person's saying that they're my age. I'm assuming that, well, I don't want to say I'm assuming, but 9 times out of 10, other people that are my age are still living at home, or they live in a dorm and they're at college, or they work at McDonald's or Route 21 or something. I'm not saying that for everyone, and I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing, but I'm saying a lot of the times your lives aren't the same as my life. And there's not anything wrong with that. Some people do things at different times, and there's nothing wrong with that. But saying that I should do some adult things, it's me repeating stuff probably, but I do adult things. I clean the house like adults would do. I cook dinner like an adult would do. I take care of an infant that I carried and gave birth to like an adult would do. I budget bills like an adult would do. I grocery shop like an adult would do. I buy what my child needs. I put work into something like an adult would do. I do plenty of things that adults do. I take my kid to the zoo. I take her to doctor's appointments. I take her to the park. I feed and take care of and train dogs. I do so many things that other adults do. And I am a 19-year-old stay-at-home mom. I am no different than a 25-year-old stay-at-home mom, a 30-year-old stay-at-home mom. There are moms who stay home and work. You know, they do work from home jobs. Some of them do those internet businesses where they sell makeup or they sell like Scentsy. Some people do that from home. Some people work for Amazon from home, or like there are a lot of things that people can do from home while being there with their kids. And it is no different than me staying home with London while putting work into YouTube. I am not yet paid like a full job from YouTube, and I hope to God that I do one day, because it would be a lot of help. But if not, it's still something that I enjoy doing, so I'm going to continue to do it. And if along the way it turns into a real career, awesome, so great. But if it doesn't, we're still fine. Christopher provides for us just fine on his own. He doesn't need me to work to be able to pay the bills. And I'm not saying that you should depend on a man. That's not what I'm saying at all. That's just what is in our best interest, okay? Say I were to go out and get a job, a real job. Okay, so daycare. It's usually a couple hundred a week, especially for younger kids like London. So if I were to pay for daycare or a babysitter, almost all of my money, most likely, would go into paying someone else to raise my child. And that's just pointless. It's either I spend all day every day away from my child and I make money that goes straight into someone else watching my child, or I just stay home with her and it's easier for everyone. She's more comfortable, I'm more comfortable, we're happy. Our bills are paid, we have everything we need, and that is all that matters. London is 1 year old. She doesn't know how to form sentences. She can say words, but she just mimics. She doesn't know what everything means. She can't say when something happens. So when London has never ever been away from me in her year of life, and all of a sudden I leave her with some complete stranger. She doesn't have any comfort, she doesn't know what's going on, and I'm just gone. She doesn't understand that I'm gonna come back. She doesn't understand that she's gonna be okay. All she knows is, I don't know you, and my mom's not here. Can you imagine how that would feel? And I know that I would spend my entire day hating myself, feeling so guilty that my child is probably miserable, wondering where her mom went, because she doesn't know, she doesn't understand. And that's just the good side of it, saying that I leave my child with a person and they take good care of her, but she doesn't understand that her mom is going to come back and get her at the end of the day. That's the good scenario out of this. But say I'm leaving my 1-year-old child with a complete stranger, whether it be a stranger in their home or a stranger coming into our home to take care of her, or it's a stranger that works in a daycare facility and has 20 other kids her age to watch. That is a complete stranger that I have to trust with my child's life. It is a bad world out there. And there are people that can go to work and they can put trust and they can put the fear aside. But as someone who has severe anxiety, I cannot just not think about it. I cannot put that trust into someone else. I don't care how much research I do on a person or how many times I've met them. That is my child's life. And if anything ever happened to London, I would go crazy. So that is not something that I take lightly at all. And so many things happen. You know, there are simple things where kids be kids, you know, a toddler bites another toddler, whatever. They write an incident report, it's okay, it'll heal. But then there are times where there are daycare teachers out there who will purposely break babies' bones for no reason, or they will suffocate children because they won't stop crying, or they will feed them things they're not supposed to eat. There's so many things. There are so many instances of babies being hurt and or killed while with babysitters and in daycare facilities, and even with your own family. So honestly, I don't trust anyone with my child's life besides me and her father. And she's never even been left with her dad before, not because I don't trust him, but just because my anxiety won't let me. I would love to be able to let Christopher take her somewhere and have a daddy-daughter date. Or I would love to be able to leave her with Christopher while I go do something on my own, but I just can't. And that's one thing. But it's a completely different thing to force myself to spend every day away from my child while I am feeling guilty and scared and stressed and anxious the entire day while she is with someone else. For no reason, just because people think that I should. I'm not going to do that just because random people on the internet think you should just work. You should just get a job. You should be an adult. Me making conscious decisions and taking care of what needs to be taken care of is me being an adult. And I don't have the luxury of having family nearby. I can't just leave her with a grandmother or an aunt or an uncle or anything, because the people that are her family that I'm in the same state as aren't allowed to be around her or me, and will not ever be around her or me. So I don't have that luxury to just pawn her off on a grandparent, or pawn her off on a sister, or pawn her off on Christopher's dad or Christopher's stepmom or anything. She is with me, and she is happy with me. I am happy with her, and that is where she is, and that is how she is taken care of, and she is fine. And that's what matters. And then set a good example for your daughter. I think I set just fine of an example for her. I'm never mean to her, obviously. She's taken care of. She's 1 year old, so obviously there's not much that you can do yet. But I don't put my feelings and my illnesses on to her. Whether I work or not is not going to decide what kind of example I set for her. I'm not going to teach her you should just be a housewife. You should just stay at home and let the man take care of you. I'm not going to teach her that, because I put work into something that I'm passionate about. Whether I make as much as Christopher or anyone else does from it, doesn't matter. I will still show her to respect herself, respect other people, something that some of you don't get. And me being a stay-at-home mom doesn't affect how she will be raised, or how respectful she's gonna be, or anything like that, honestly. I could say it over and over again, but my life is not any different than any other aged stay-at-home mom. It's not. I'm a stay-at-home mom who stays at home with her children while their husband goes to work, whether they make money at home or not. It's the same concept. It's the exact same concept. And I know this was kind of a more serious video, and if you didn't like it, I'm sorry, but it's something that needed to be addressed, and has needed to be addressed, and something that I just needed to get off my chest. We'll be back to our normal stuff later on. But moral of the story is, think before you speak, and if something doesn't affect you, ignore it, move on from it. It doesn't matter. If it does not directly affect you, you have no room to say anything, really. So just don't. Like, there is no good out of you bringing someone down or inserting yourself into their lives or inserting your opinion or anything like that when it does not affect you. So just don't do it. Just be kind. This person told me to be kind. Maybe practice what you preach. Okay? If you take anything from this video, be kind. You're right. You should be kind. You shouldn't bring someone down because of their life choices or for them doing what makes them happy. I will always do what makes me happy and what is in my best interest and my children's best interest. And that is the bottom line. And if you are someone out there who has anything similar to me, I am here for you. I am here to talk. I fully understand what it's like living with depression and anxiety, and I fully understand what it's like trying to grow up from a traumatic childhood. So, if you ever want to talk, I'm here. You can try to DM me on Instagram. I keep up with those. At this point, I don't get that many, so I do keep up with my DMs if you ever need to talk. And I guess that's all I have to say today. Just be kind, and I'm here if you need me. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you so much to those of you who are out there who are nice to me and who support me and that just make all of this worth it. I hope you guys enjoy your day. I don't want to say I hope you enjoy this video because, like I said, it was kind of a serious one, so you probably didn't quite enjoy it, but we will see you next time with our normal fun stuff. Thank you guys. I just want to pop in here to say that I am in no way putting down anyone for what they do with their lives. I'm simply just explaining mine and my situations. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a working mom or a stay-at-home mom. I think it is very hard to do either. I'm not saying anything is wrong with people who send their kids to daycare or leave them with family. I'm not putting anyone down in any way. I'm just saying I simply cannot do it. So I really hope I didn't offend anyone because that was not at all what I was trying to do. And yeah, that's it.